The rain hammered the streets of Riverside like angry fists. 16-year-old Maya Williams couldn't hear the storm, but she felt it in her bones. She walked home from her art class, backpack heavy with paintings that told stories her voice couldn't speak. Maya loved the quiet world she lived in. Born deaf, she saw beauty where others heard noise. Tonight, she was excited to show her mom the painting of their garden, bright sunflowers reaching toward hope. 2 police cars sat outside the corner store like sleeping beasts. Officer Jake Morrison and his partner Tim Bradley were having a bad day. 3 robberies this week, and their captain was breathing down their necks. Another punk probably stealing candy, Morrison muttered, watching Maya walk past. Her hoodie was up against the rain, and in the dim light, all they saw was a young person in dark clothes. Maya stopped to tie her shoe. She had no idea the officers were getting out of their car. "Hey you," Morrison shouted. "Stop right there." Maya kept walking. She couldn't hear them. "Kids running," Bradley yelled, but Maya wasn't running. She was just walking home, lost in thoughts about her art show next week. Morrison's hand went to his gun. His heart pounded. In the darkness and rain, Maya's art supplies looked like something else entirely. "He's got something in his hand," Morrison screamed. Maya turned around, confused by the flashing lights. She tried to sign, "I can't hear you," but in the chaos, her hands moving looked threatening to the scared officers. The shots echoed through the rain. Maya fell to the wet pavement, her paintings scattering like broken dreams, red mixed with rainwater as she lay still, clutching her art. Miles across town, CIA Director Sarah Williams felt her phone buzz during a top-secret meeting about national security. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. Maya Williams shot by police, critical condition, Riverside Hospital. The blood drained from Sarah's face. Maya Williams wasn't just any teenager. She was her daughter. "Meeting's over," Sarah said, her voice deadly calm. She walked out, leaving 20 confused agents wondering what could make their iron-willed director abandon a national crisis. Sarah's hands shook as she dialed her team. "Emergency Protocol 7. I need a full tactical unit at Riverside Hospital in 10 minutes. Her second-in-command, Agent Marcus Chin, had never heard Sarah's voice crack. "Ma'am, what's the situation?" "Someone shot my little girl." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. At the hospital, Maya lay unconscious. Tubes and wires covered her small body. The bullet had missed her heart by inches, but the damage was severe. Elizabeth Santos worked frantically to save the girl's life. She had no idea this teenager's mother could level governments. Officer Morrison sat in the waiting room, his hands still shaking. "She was armed," he kept telling himself. "She wouldn't stop when we called." His partner Bradley wasn't so sure anymore. "Jake, those weren't weapons in her backpack. They were paintings." "Shut up, Tim. Just shut up." But Tim couldn't shut up. He'd seen the art scattered on the street. Beautiful, innocent pictures that no criminal would carry. Pictures signed Maya in the corner. The first black SUV arrived at the hospital at 11:47 p.m. Then another, and another. Sarah Williams stepped out of the lead vehicle like a storm-given human form. She wore a simple coat, but something about her made people step aside. Behind her came 12 of the most dangerous people on Earth, disguised as concerned relatives. The hospital security guard looked nervous. "Ma'am, visiting hours are..." "I'm here to see my daughter," Sarah said quietly. "And you're going to let me pass?" Something in her eyes made him step back without another word. Dr. Santos looked up as Sarah entered the intensive care unit. "Are you Maya's family?" "I'm her mother. How is she?" "Critical but stable. The bullet punctured her lung, but we stopped the bleeding. She's going to live." Sarah's legs almost gave out with relief. Then the anger returned, cold and sharp as winter. Who did this to her? 2 police officers. They're downstairs giving statements. Sarah's jaw tightened. "Are they now?" She turned to Agent Chun. Secure this. Floor. No one in or out without my permission. And find out everything about those officers. Everything. 20 minutes later, Sarah had the complete files on Morrison and Bradley. Morrison had 3 complaints for excessive force. Bradley was clean. But he'd been Morrison's partner for 2 years. Sarah walked downstairs like death in a business suit. Her team spread through the hospital, taking positions. They looked like ordinary people, but each one could level a building if needed. The police station was in chaos. Captain Rodriguez paced his office, trying to figure out how a simple stop had turned into a nightmare. The girl was deaf? He asked for the 10th time. Morrison sat across from him, still in denial. She was acting suspicious. She wouldn't respond to commands. Because she couldn't hear them, you idiot. How were we supposed to know that? Rodriguez wanted to throw something. The media was already calling. This was about to explode. Then the front desk called. Captain, there's a woman here to see you. Says it's about the Williams shooting. Tell her to call our press. Sir, she says she's CIA Director Sarah Williams. She's got federal agents with her. Rodriguez felt his blood turn to ice. CIA Director Sarah Williams was a legend. She'd taken down terrorists, networks, and enemy spies. She was also notoriously protective of her family. Send her up, he whispered. Sarah walked into the station like she owned it. Behind her came 6 agents, who looked like they could bench press cars. Every officer in the building felt the temperature drop. Captain Rodriguez? Sarah's voice was soft, but it cut through noise like a blade. I'm here about my daughter. Rodriguez nearly choked. Your daughter? Maya Williams, the 16-year-old girl your officers shot tonight. The room went dead silent. Every officer suddenly found something very interesting to look at on their desks. Ma'am, I can assure you we're conducting a full investigation. No, Sarah said simply. You're not. She pulled out her federal ID. As of right now, this is a federal matter. My agents will be taking over the investigation. You can't just— Sarah's smile could have frozen fire. Captain, I've been hunting international criminals for 15 years. I've taken down drug cartels and terrorist cells. And you think I can't handle 2 small-town cops who shot my deaf daughter? Agent Chun stepped forward with a folder. We already have the security footage from 3 different cameras. The girl was clearly just walking home. She never posed a threat. Rodriguez's face went white. There's footage? Oh yes, Sarah said. Very clear footage. Would you like to see what really happened to my little girl? Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Maya was waking up. She opened her eyes to see a kind nurse checking her machines. Maya tried to sign, but her hands were too weak. The nurse, Janet Rodriguez, the captain's wife, though no one knew it yet, had learned sign language for her own deaf nephew. You're safe now, Janet signed. Your mother is here. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She signed weakly. Where is she? She's taking care of the people who hurt you. Maya tried to sit up, but pain shot through her chest. Janet gently pushed her back. Down. Rest, sweetheart. Your mom is handling everything. At that moment, Maya had no idea her mother was about to turn the police station upside down. Back at the station, Sarah was just getting started. Bring me Officers Morrison and Bradley, she told Rodriguez. Now, ma'am, they have rights. So did my daughter. She had the right to walk home safely. She had the right not to be shot for being deaf. Agent Chun whispered something in Sarah's ear. Her expression darkened. It seems Officer Morrison has quite a history, Sarah announced. 3 excessive force complaints, 2 lawsuits settled quietly by the city, and last year, he shot and killed an unarmed Hispanic man. Rodriguez's stomach dropped. He'd hoped that incident would stay buried. You knew, Sarah said. It wasn't a question. You knew he was dangerous, and you let him keep his badge. We couldn't prove. You didn't want to prove it. Bad for the departments. Image. Morrison finally appeared, led by 2 of Sarah's agents. He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else on Earth. "Officer Morrison," Sarah said pleasantly. "Please sit down." Morrison sat, trying to look tough, but something about this woman made his skin crawl. "You shot my daughter tonight." "Your daughter was acting suspicious." "My daughter is deaf, Officer Morrison. She couldn't hear your commands because she was born without hearing." Morrison's face paled. "How were we supposed to know that? You could have tried not shooting first and asking questions later." Agent Chun placed photos on the table. Pictures of Maya's scattered artwork, bright and innocent. "In the rain. These are what you mistook for weapons," Sarah said. "My daughter's paintings that she was coming home from art class." Morrison stared at the photos. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. She wouldn't stop when we called her. "Because she's deaf, you moron." Agent Chun snapped. Sarah raised a hand for silence. "Officer Morrison, my daughter is 16 years old. She's never been in trouble. She's an honor student who volunteers at the animal shelter on weekends. She paints pictures of flowers and dreams of art school." Morrison's hand started shaking again. "And you shot her because you were scared of a little girl carrying paintings." At the hospital, something unexpected was happening. Officer Bradley, Morrison's partner, had quietly slipped away from the station. He couldn't live with what they'd done. He walked into Maya's room. His uniform wrinkled and his eyes red. Janet, the nurse, looked suspicious. "Who are you?" I'm one of the officers from tonight," Tim said quietly. "I need to see her." "Absolutely not. Please," Tim begged. "I need to apologize." Maya was awake now. Though groggy from medication. She saw the police uniform and fear flashed in her eyes. Tim's heart broke. He slowly pulled out his phone and opened a translation app. "I'm sorry," appeared on the screen. "I'm so sorry." Maya stared at him, confused. Tim typed more words. "My partner shot you. I should have stopped him. I failed you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She sang something, and Janet translated. "She says she forgives you. She asks why you're here." Tim typed with shaking fingers. "Because what we did was wrong. Because you're just a kid. Because I have a daughter your age." Maya read the words and started crying, not from pain, but from surprise. She'd expected hate, not apology. Tim knelt beside her bed. He typed, "I'm going to make this right, I promise." Back at the station, Sarah was learning more disturbing facts. "Officer Morrison," Agent Chun announced, "has been taking bribes from local drug dealers. We found $50,000 in cash in his locker." Rodriguez's jaw dropped. "That's impossible. We also found text messages between Morrison and known criminals. He's been warning them about raids." The room erupted in chaos. Other officers looked shocked. Morrison turned green. "You're lying," Morrison shouted. "This is all fake." Sarah smiled coldly. "We're the CIA, Officer Morrison. We don't need to lie. The truth is damaging enough." Agent Martinez, Sarah's tech expert, pulled up Morrison's bank records on a laptop. "Deposits of $2,000 to $5,000 every week for 6 months, Martinez announced. "Always." The day after drug raids that somehow came up empty. Captain Rodriguez looked like he might faint. His department wasn't just guilty of shooting an innocent girl, they'd been harboring a corrupt cop for months. "There's more," Agent Chun said grimly. "Morrison's been selling information to a human trafficking ring. The girls they've been smuggling are Maya's age." Sarah's control finally cracked. She grabbed Morrison by his shirt and lifted him from his chair. "You're not just a bad cop," she snarled. "You're a traitor to everything that badge is supposed to represent." Morrison tried to look defiant, but terror. "Juan, I want a lawyer." "Oh, you'll get one," Sarah said. "Right after we arrest you for bribery, corruption, conspiracy, and attempted murder." At that moment, Officer Bradley burst through the station doors. "Stop," he yelled. "You need to hear what I have to say." Everyone turned to look at the junior officer who looked like he'd been crying. Jake's been dirty for over a year, Bradley announced. I've been documenting everything. He pulled out a small recording device. I've got him on tape taking bribes. I've got him planning the cover-up for tonight's shooting. I've got everything. The station went completely silent. Rodriguez stared at his officer. Tim, what are you doing? The right thing. Captain Duff finally doing the right thing. Bradley looked at Sarah. I know it doesn't make up for what happened to your daughter, but I want you to have the truth. Sarah studied the young officer. Why now? Why not before? Because I was scared. Because I was a coward. Bradley's voice cracked. But tonight I saw your daughter lying in the street. I saw her paintings scattered in the rain, and I realized being scared doesn't excuse being wrong. Sarah's expression softened slightly. You visited her. I did. She forgave me, even though I didn't deserve it. Bradley wiped his eyes. That little girl has more courage than I've ever had. Morrison jumped up from his chair. Tim, shut your mouth. You're destroying both our careers. Good, Bradley shouted back. Maybe some careers deserve to be destroyed. Sarah looked between the two officers. Good cop, but not the way anyone expected. Officer Bradley, she said formally, are you willing to testify against your partner? Yes, ma'am, I'll testify to everything. Agent Chun took the recording device. We'll need to verify this evidence, but it sounds like we have our case. Morrison's face went from pale to red to purple. You're all making a huge mistake. That girl was acting suspicious. The only suspicious thing here, Sarah said, is how you kept your badge this long. Captain Rodriguez finally found his voice. Morrison, you're suspended immediately. Turn in your gun and badge. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing it, Rodriguez said. You did it to yourself. Sarah's phone buzzed. Dr. Santos was calling from the hospital. Maya's asking for you, the doctor said. She's stable enough for a short visit. Sarah's entire demeanor changed. The fierce CIA director disappeared, replaced by a worried mother. I have to go, she told the room. Agent Chun, process Morrison for federal charges. Officer Bradley, you'll be called to give your statement tomorrow. She paused at the door and looked back at Rodriguez. Captain, my daughter could have died tonight because you ignored warning signs about Morrison. That's not something I'll forget. Rodriguez nodded miserably. I understand. I hope you do. Because if anything like this happens again in your department, I'll be back, and next time I won't be nearly so polite. Sarah left the station with her agents, leaving behind a police force that would never be the same. At the hospital, Maya was sitting up slightly when her mother arrived. Sarah rushed to her bedside, all her federal authority melting away. Baby, Sarah whispered, taking Maya's hand. I'm so sorry I wasn't there, Maya signed weakly. Not your fault, Mom. It is my fault. I've been working so much trying to keep the world safe, and I couldn't even keep you safe. Maya squeezed her mother's hand and signed, you did keep me safe, you came for me. Sarah started crying. In 15 years of government service, she'd never cried, not when agents died, not when missions failed, but seeing her daughter hurt broke something inside her. The officer who shot you is going to prison, Sarah said out loud, knowing. Maya could read her lips. I promise you that. Maya signed something that made Sarah smile through her tears. She says she's not angry, Nurse Janet translated. She says the young officer came to apologize, that she thinks he's a good person who made a bad choice. Sarah marveled at her daughter's wisdom. At 16, Maya understood forgiveness better than most adults. What about the other officer? Sarah asked. Maya's expression hardened slightly. She signed for a long time, Janet translated. She says the mean officer was angry before he ever saw her. She says his anger was like poison, and it finally spilled out on someone innocent. Sarah was amazed. Even while recovering from being shot, her daughter was analyzing the psychology of her attackers. You're going to be an amazing psychologist someday. Sarah said. Maya smiled and signed. Or maybe a police officer who actually helps people. Sarah almost choked. After what happened tonight? Maya nodded seriously and signed. Someone has to show them how to do it right. 3 days later, the story hit national news, but it wasn't the story anyone expected. Local police officer exposes corruption to save career of partner who shot deaf teen. Read the headline. The media had gotten it backwards. As usual, they thought Bradley was trying to save Morrison. They had no idea Bradley was trying to destroy him. Sarah watched the news from Maya's hospital room, shaking her head. They never get it right, do they? She muttered. Maya was much stronger now. She signed. Does it matter what they say? I suppose not. The truth is the truth, whether they print it or not. Agent Chun knocked and entered. Ma'am, Morrison's been charged with 14 federal crimes. The FBI found evidence linking him to 3 different criminal organizations. Sarah nodded. And Bradley? He's been reassigned to community outreach while the investigation continues. The kid's clean, just scared. He'll probably make detective within 5 years if he keeps his nose clean. Maya signed something that made both adults laugh. She says he should work with deaf kids, Sarah translated. She says he needs to learn that being different isn't the same as being dangerous. A week later, Maya was released from the hospital. Maya was released from the hospital. Media circus had died down, and life was slowly returning to normal. But things had changed in Riverside. Captain Rodriguez had implemented new training for all officers, sensitivity training, de-escalation techniques, and basic sign language classes were now mandatory. Officer Bradley had volunteered to help teach the sign language classes. He said it was the least he could do. Morrison was in federal prison, awaiting trial. His lawyer claimed he'd acted in self-defense. But the corruption charges made him look less sympathetic. Maya returned to school to find she'd become something of a local celebrity, but not the kind she wanted. Students stared at her in the hallways, some with pity, some with curiosity, some with the kind of excitement people got around tragedy. Maya hated it. She signed to her interpreter. I just want to be normal again. But normal wasn't coming back. Maya Williams was no longer just a deaf teenager who loved art. She was the girl who got shot by police. The girl whose mother stormed a police station with federal agents. She was a symbol now, whether she wanted to be or not. 1 month after the shooting, Maya did something that surprised everyone. She asked to speak at the police academy graduation. Sarah was shocked. Honey, are you sure? You don't owe them anything? Maya signed. I owe it to myself. And to other kids like me. The graduation ceremony was small. Just 20 new officers and their families. Maya stood at the podium in her best dress, with her interpreter beside her. She began to sign, and her interpreter spoke the words. My name is Maya Williams. Some of you know my story. A month ago, I was shot by a police officer who thought I was dangerous. The audience shifted uncomfortably. I wasn't dangerous. I was just different. I was deaf in a world that expects everyone to hear. I was walking home in a hoodie in a world that's suspicious of teenagers. I was carrying art supplies in a world that sees weapons everywhere. Some of the graduating officers looked ashamed. The officer who shot me was scared, but he was scared of the wrong things. He was scared of me when he should have been scared of his own prejudices. Maya paused, looking out at the young faces. I forgive him, not because he deserves it, but because carrying anger would poison me the way fear poisoned him. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means choosing to be better than the people who hurt us. Maya took a deep breath. You're going to meet people like me. Deaf people, blind people, people who speak different languages, people whose minds work differently, people who look different or dress different or act different. She looked directly at the graduating officers. Remember, That different isn't dangerous. Remember that your job is to protect people, not to be afraid of them. Remember that the badge you wear should make people feel safer, not more scared. Maya smiled. And remember that sometimes, the person you think is your enemy might just be a 16-year-old girl carrying paintings home in the rain. The audience erupted in applause. Several officers wiped their eyes. After the ceremony, a young officer approached Maya. "Ma'am," he said nervously, "I just wanted to thank you. My sister is autistic, and I never really understood how scared she must be of police officers. Your speech, it changed how I think about my job." Maya smiled and signed. "That's all I wanted, just for people to think." Later that evening, Maya and Sarah sat in their garden. The sunflowers Maya had painted before the shooting were in full bloom now, reaching toward the setting sun. "I'm proud of you," Sarah said. "What you did today took more courage than anything I've done in my career." Maya signed. "Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing even when you are scared." Sarah laughed. "Where did you learn that?" Maya pointed to the sky where the first stars were appearing. "From you, Mom. You taught me that when bad things happen, we have two choices. We can let them make us smaller, or we can use them to make us stronger." Sarah hugged her daughter. "When did you get so wise?" Maya signed. "The day I learned that getting shot doesn't make you a victim. Staying silent makes you a victim." As they sat together in the garden, watching the sunflowers sway in the breeze, both mother and daughter knew that their lives had been changed forever, but they'd been changed for the better. Maya would go on to study criminal justice and psychology. She'd become a police consultant, helping departments across the country learn to work with disabled communities. Officer Bradley would become one of her closest allies, working to reform police training programs nationwide. Morrison would serve 12 years in federal prison, and when he got out, he'd spend the rest of his life trying to make amends for the lives he'd damaged. Captain Rodriguez would retire early and start a non-profit organization training police officers in community relations. And Sarah Williams would learn that sometimes the most important battles aren't fought in foreign countries against enemy agents. Sometimes they're fought in your own backyard, against prejudice and fear, and the kind of ignorance that sees danger in a deaf teenager carrying paintings home in the rain. The shooting that nearly destroyed Maya Williams became the catalyst that transformed an entire community. Because sometimes, when the worst thing happens, it creates an opportunity for the best thing to happen. Sometimes, justice doesn't come from the courtroom or the law books. Sometimes, it comes from the courage of a 16-year-old girl who chose forgiveness over hatred, wisdom over anger, and hope over despair. And sometimes, the most powerful weapon against injustice isn't a gun or a badge or federal authority. Sometimes, it's just a mother's love and a daughter's courage, working together to change the world one heart at a time. Maya Williams learned that she couldn't hear the world's voices, but she could certainly make her own voice heard. And when she did, the whole world stopped to listen. The sunflowers in their garden continued to grow, reaching always toward the light, just like the family that tended them. In the end, that's what justice really looks like. Not revenge, not punishment, not even consequences, though those matter too. Justice looks like taking something broken and making it beautiful. Justice looks like turning tragedy into triumph. Justice looks like a deaf girl teaching the world how to listen. And sometimes, on quiet evenings when the sunflowers sway in the breeze, justice looks like a mother and daughter sitting together in a garden, grateful for second chances and the courage to use them wisely. The rain still falls on Riverside sometimes, but it doesn't sound angry anymore. It sounds like healing. And so, as the sun set over Riverside and the sunflowers danced gently in the evening breeze, Maya Williams and her mother sat in their garden, two women forever changed by pain, courage, and truth. What began with a tragic mistake ended in a movement that reshaped an entire community. Maya's voice, once thought to be silent, echoed louder than any siren, any gavel, or any speech. Through strength, wisdom, and forgiveness, she reminded the world that true justice isn't just about punishment. It's about learning, healing, and choosing to be better. Her journey didn't just save lives. It inspired change, opened minds, and taught law enforcement and citizens alike the power of empathy. If this story moved you, made you think, or opened your heart just a little, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another powerful tale of truth, justice, and the human spirit. Because stories like Maya's aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be remembered.